Subscribe to RidersDX or you will be vaporized.
Oh, hey beautiful human, it's RidersDX here. Don't mind me, I'm just waiting for my car to finish its oil change here on Mars. The technicians here are really the ultimate kind. That's why I thought it was totally worth the life savings to create a spacecraft to fly my vehicle all the way here and get the oil change. But you're not my accountant, so let's not talk about that. Since movement at times is about 10,000 times slower here, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to play through Sonic Colors Ultimate to pass the weight, and totally not related to the fact that it's also a game that takes place in space. FYI, Sega was gracious enough to provide me with a PS4 code for the Digital Deluxe Edition, and are totally not holding an invisible gun to me in this video.
Sonic Colors Ultimate was announced back in May of 2021 during the Sonic Central presentation that brought numerous Sonic projects to light. Sega said they chose to remaster Colors due to the rise of younger fans of the fanbase since the release of Mania, Forces, and Team Sonic Racing alongside the 2020 Sonic film. So why not re-release a game that was extremely well received when it first came around? I'm just hoping we see Generations and Unleashed get the same treatment eventually, and if you want to throw in some adventure remakes, then my wallet will be here, Sega. A lot of the base game, the remaster also incorporates numerous new additions and content in order to enhance the Colors experience further and give older players something new to explore with this remaster. I'd actually recently taken a look at the original Sonic Colors in my video detailing my thoughts on each boost game in the franchise, so go check that video out in the top right corner if you want to hear my thoughts on the game. Thus, I am going to focus this video solely on the remaster itself, how well it maintains the original game experience and the additions it made to the package. Yes, I am the logical good boy.
Sir, your transportation device is looking to be in great shape.
Wow, that's some great news. Since we're on the topic of good news, let's talk about some of the great things that this remaster does.
Sonic Colors Ultimate makes the original colors available across all consoles of a generation, being released on Xbox One, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and the PC. Technically Epic Games for now, but we don't need to go too deep into that. The game leaves the original experience largely intact, as every single world and act returns here with the same control and design that was praised in the original, and performance-wise, the game runs pretty well, hitting a solid 60 FPS for the most part, except on the Switch where it is locked to 30 FPS. Playing through the game, it was just as fun as it was when I revisited it earlier this year for my video, so Blind Squirrel definitely did a great job maintaining the core experience everyone praised the game for. Not only that though, there's a few additions here from the studio that definitely enhance the experience. One of my favorite additions is the cosmetics that Sonic can be equipped with. In this game, you can customize Sonic with various different colors of his shoes, gloves, aura, and his boost. Though this seems like a small thing to praise, I do enjoy having a level of customization in any game. I would have loved to have been able to put on actual props and outfits on Sonic, but this was still a neat addition to observe in the game. It really does bring out the inner fashionista in me. The real reason I enjoy this edition though is the currency used to buy these park tokens. The way you obtain park tokens is by collecting them in a level. I love this edition because some of these tokens are hidden pretty well or in areas that require some thought as to how you would reach them. It encourages exploration. It just makes roaming around these levels and colors that much more fun. It's like they added 3 times the amount of red rings to collect, which is just awesome. The developers also went and added a wisp introduced in Team Sonic Racing, the Jade Wisp. It essentially allows you to phase through certain objects to obtain secret extras and collectibles. They even went through the trouble of moving some of the red rings just to take advantage of this new ability. While the Wisp itself isn't too prevalent in the game and doesn't add too much to the experience, the fact that it's there just to make the experience feel a little more new is greatly appreciated. It's also just fun to use. It's kind of like a faster hover. I gotta say, Colors is just such a great example of what can happen if you take what people love about Sonic and just make it its own full-blown game. I know I may upset a lot of fans of that comment, but Colors to me is the ultimate showing of what can happen if you have a clear vision of Sonic that actually works. Though every single level in Colors may not hit the ball out of the park, the majority of them do, and I just recall having a blast reliving all of my experiences with the game up to that point.
So, yeah, that's basically it. It's just a remaster, so there's not much else to say about it. It was fun and I liked it.
Pardon me, good sir.
Oh yes, is my car ready?
Oh, it was ready eons ago, but I just couldn't help but listen in on your, monologue.
Okay.
Something tells me you're hiding something.
What? I'm not hiding anything. The shirt is too tight for that. Dude, what the f?
Reveal yourself, or I will vaporize the organic matter that makes up your being.
Okay, yeah, there's actually more to this review, so, here we go.
Let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room. This game is a hot mess. Despite the core experience being maintained here, the game unfortunately adds a host of glitches and bugs into the game that were not apparent in the original colors. Things like Sonic being warped to another location, entering a 2D plane with 3D control, or just getting stuck in general. There are just too many instances of these issues documented online. If you want a full-blown showcase of different glitches, then check out this video in top right corner where I took a bunch of different ones from Twitter and showcased them in the video. With the Switch version specifically, there's even reports of flashing lights and colors that induce seizures. Like, were the QA testers just on drugs or something? Nintendo even offered to issue refunds for the game. That's when you know you really screwed up. Sadly, we've seen this sob story before. A Sonic game that was clearly rushed out the door in time for a release date ends up looking like one of my art projects. It's just alarmingly insane, however, how unpolished this game is. This was supposed to be a simple remaster of a very beloved Sonic game to bring the experience to new Sonic fans, but just about every part of the game is stained by these imperfections. Aside from all the visual hiccups and gameplay differences, all the other new enhanced features of this game, besides the cosmetics and part tokens, don't add as much to the experience and may even detract from it. One of the game's most marketed features was the addition of rival races against Metal Sonic, which definitely sound great on paper, but when it comes down to it, it's just a time travel mode that forces you to replay a level where the only difference is just seeing Metal Sonic for a small portion of the level, unless you really suck at it like myself. It's also limited to one act in each of the 6 worlds. I feel like this would have been a good opportunity to have one of these for each of them, just to increase the amount of content you can unlock in the game. But what would have really been cool is having Metal Sonic be an unlockable character in the game, like how Shadow was in Forces, or how Metal Sonic himself was in Sonic Adventure DX, which was a port done 15 years ago. I mean, the model is there ready to go, what's stopping them? Side note, apparently this was a feature that was actually cut from the game, so yeah. Another feature added was the Tails save. Ah yes, I remember when we thought this was a sign of Tails being playable in the game. That would have been nice. Nope, instead what we got is something that replaces the life system. Basically, whenever you fall, Tails will rescue you and place you in a spot closer to where you died while maintaining your score. Essentially, this is an easy mode for Colors, except it's the only mode in Colors Ultimate. There's no way to actually turn this feature off, which honestly is quite wild for a remaster. Most remasters do come of a way to play the game originally as intended, and also with the remaster's new additions, but that's just an overall issue when it comes to Ultimate. Despite the game adding in all these things, it also manages to subtract certain aspects that were there in the original game by making all these additions a requirement in playthroughs. Another one that's commonly cited is the remixed music. Now, I'll admit, some of these remixes are really good. In fact, here's some of the tracks I really enjoyed. The Ferris Wheel boss was remixed by Junsen Yu himself and sounds like something straight out of Sonic Adventure. Planet Wisp Act 2 mixes the song to a dubstep arrangement that's surprisingly very appealing. Reminds me of something out of Sonic Forces. Aquarium Park Act 1 adds some dance beats to the original track and thus makes the two much more fast-paced, fitting Sonic's abilities. The The problem, however, comes from the fact that the remixes are not optional, meaning levels that once had the original tracks you may prefer cannot be played with that original track in this remaster. This is just mind-boggling, especially when you had Sonic Generations, which allowed you to play each level with any track within the entire game. This would have been a great way to enhance the music experience of Colors. This is especially disappointing since some of the remixes just aren't great. Tropical Resort Act 1 adds a piano line that just clashes with the guitar line that's still very much apparent here. Sweet Mountain Act 1 outright replaces the iconic trumpet line with a weak sounding synthesizer I am just not a fan of. There's one more example of this that I think is just outright stupid, but is also the reason you haven't seen any cutscene footage in this review. When you go to the extras menu to replay cutscenes, instead of the full screen experience intended, the cutscenes instead get played in this small little box with no option to maximize the screen. Like, why? Honestly, the more I think about this stuff, the more disappointed I get in the supposed remaster. Why was the game allowed to be released in this state? Why does a supposed enhancement feel like a downgrade in so many ways? It's just mind-boggling to me, and I'm getting a migraine.
So, you don't actually like this remaster?
Well, it's not that simple. You see, Sonic Colors Ultimate leaves me very puzzled, a lot in the same way that a lot of other Sonic games with mixed reception have left me to feel.
You see, despite everything I've just said about Colors Ultimate, I still really enjoyed it, and there's a few reasons for that. One, as I stated prior, the original experience of Colors is overall very well maintained. I know I've mentioned glitches and bugs, but quite honestly, I ran into very few of them when playing this game. If you look at how critics have been reviewing this game as well, it's been pretty positive and there's not a lot of mention of bugs and glitches in them. This really just affirms to me that while these imperfections are indeed there, they're not enough to impede the experience of the game, and if anything, just give you a good laugh every now and then. There's no excuse for the fact that Colors Ultimate is not as polished as it should be, but it certainly isn't broken beyond repair. Also, I think some of the additions were actually positive and helped make the experience more fun, and even if the addition wasn't, it doesn't detract all too much from the game aside from a few areas. I guess when it comes down to it, putting everything on paper for me really made this game sound like a waste of time and an extremely incompetent port job, but that wasn't my experience. You can watch me play the game yourself in my livestream archive, as I had a genuinely fun time replaying through Colors with this remaster. It just reminded me of the joyous time I had with Colors as a kid all the way up to now. Back then, it was just a Sonic game that finally trimmed away so much that was holding the series back. So perhaps my opinion of the remaster is largely due to the original game's experience being maintained, which is a baseline expectation for any kind of remaster. So I guess I'm confused on how I should view this remaster. Should I love it simply because it houses a game that I hold dear to my heart, or should I eviscerate it because many of the touch-ups done by Blind Squirrel were indeed poor in detracting from the experience? Listen man, I work a full-time job in the hospital, and when I come home, I just want to sit back and have some fun, and Colors Ultimate does that for me. You're more than welcome to criticize what Blind Squirrel did with the remaster, and I totally agree with the people that are disappointed in the final product, but I personally had fun with it, and thus I'm happy this remaster is made, and I can only hope to see other Sonic games see the same treatment in the future. Sure, so much could have been done to make this roller coaster smooth a ride, but hey, it is a roller coaster after all. By the way, I just wanted to quickly plug that Blind Squirrel is planning to release a patch addressing many of these issues. If there is something you want them to fix, please go to sega.com/support to voice your concerns, and hopefully they will be addressed in the future patch.
Well, did that explain it?
Yes. Now, where's my payment?
Oh, right. How much is it?
10 billion Mars coins.
Oh, well, I don't have Mars coins, but have this coupon that's a 1-year membership to my Patreon.
You dare make a mockery out of the Martians?
No, of course not. It's just, well... I'm a content creator. What do you expect? What?
Oh, come back here, you earthling, and fulfill your debt to me with your stream of consciousness.
Then again, that ship.
$2,000 later.
Well, that sure took forever. Who knew spacecrafts needed gas to travel? Whoa, what happened here? Ow! Oh, well that makes sense.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Special shout out to my patrons, Team Rattle Sign Gamer, Johnny Hinton Ortiz, Trash Q, Claw80 Floor. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member and get access to a whole bunch of different perks, then please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.